Hi, I'm Quincas from VBrazil Modular. In this video, I'll introduce you to the amazing Lizard2 module. But first, let's hear it in action. Lizard2 is a sequential oscillator, or you can call it an oscillating sequencer. It's a multifunction module. Basically, it's a saw-core digital oscillator oscillating at 1.5 megahertz. Yes, that's megahertz. So you're not going to expect any of the usual problems associated with digital. This is extremely high quality oscillator. It's calibrated to 1 volt per octave very precisely over many octaves. So it's a very musical oscillator. It's got a square wave output if you just want a straight up square wave. But the cool thing about it is it's actually cycling through 8 different voltages that you can set with these knobs, just like a sequencer. But as an oscillator, that's going to give you some really interesting sounds. So let's plug it in. My version is a banana plug version. You can order yours in standard Eurorack mini plug as well. And my LEDs are really dim right now because I've been playing around a little bit with the LED brightness, but don't worry about that. Yours will be plenty bright enough. And so there we go. Maybe we should start from nothing, right? So that's all negative voltages. And as we start bringing voltages up, we start getting these different wave shapes, right, which emphasize different harmonics. Let's give it a sequence just to animate it a little bit. I'll send it a sequence from my BeatStep Pro. Got a little kick going here. Alright, and we'll put the sequence in here and play something. Let's play around with some wave shapes now. So that's with 8 steps. in straightforward mode, A mode. You can see you can go from pretty grainy, chiptune-y things to kind of fatter square wave type sounds. And the shape's really cool. So in B mode, essentially it becomes like an 16 step, sorry, because it's going backwards and forwards. It's eight steps each direction, and they're symmetrical, but gives you completely different tones. You can also use it in four-step mode. Gives you a quick way to change between two different timbres. Right. Also 4 steps just forward. It's a simpler wave, more like just a straight up square, a pulse wave. Backwards and forwards, 4 steps. And it frequency shifts too when you do that. So has to do with that saw core in there. Alright, so that's the Lizard2 as an oscillator, but that works as a sequencer as well. So I just put it in sequence mode, and now let's turn down our kick drum. And now what we'll do is we'll put the beat step in external clock mode, and we're gonna send that square wave out of the lizard into the beat step. So the lizard's now going to be master clock, right? And we're going to take our audio output from something else, like the ether oscillator, for example, sine wave from the ether oscillator, and we'll send the voltage output from Lizard2, which is output 2, into the CV input of the ether oscillator, right? And we'll also remove that beat step pro CV, and so there's already a sequence happening. Now there we go. Kick drum is synchronized to the Lizard2 as a master. And this is, you know, Lizard2 as a sequencer is pretty straightforward, very simple, kind of like a baby 8. And that's precisely what I like about it, because it's not quantized or anything like that, so I can do free microtonal sequences, rhythmic things like that, and affect filters and things in a way that's not stepped. And you can play around with the modes. Right, 8 steps. Then you get a doubled frequency when you do that. So that's pretty funky. You can do that with you know, with any other kind of modulation parameter you might want to modulate with that output. Pretty straightforward stuff. Alright, so next we're going to look at the multiplexer output number 1. Alright, so now let's take a look at the Lizard2's output 1, which is not related at all to the knobs. It's related actually to the wave inputs right there. It's basically a multiplexer, which we can use for any kind of signal, any kind of voltage signal, be it audio or modulation, and we can use it in sequence rate, which is, you know, low frequency, and VCO rate, audio rate, which gives us some pretty interesting results as well. So let's take a look at the multiplexer output as a audio source sequencer. So we'll take that output as a audio output, plug it into our mixer, and now just to keep it simple for now, I'll put it in 4 steps, forward sequence, and we'll start putting in some sound sources. So here's a pulse wave from the ether oscillator. There we go. Let's give it a fatter pulse width. Now here's a sine wave from my self-oscillating filter. There we go. Let's turn that down a little bit, because now we're going to put in a noise source and check out what happens. Oh, that noise is way louder than everything else. So should I attenuate the noise before I put it in? Well, sure, but there's a cooler way to deal with this problem, so bear with me. Let's take this triangle wave from the multi-LFO. Alright, so already that's pretty funky. I actually like the B mode a lot for this kind of thing. Makes for some pretty funky rhythms. Now, yeah, that's annoying, that noise is so loud. So how do we fix that? Well, there's another advantage of the Lizard2's 2 modes being, totally synced to the same internal oscillator. We can take this, our output from a VCA instead, right here, and send the Lizard2 output 1 to the VCA's input. And now we take the output 2 from the Lizard2 and send it to control the VCA. So basically now each step voltage is controlling the volume for that step, right? So if I want the white noise to be softer, I just lower the noise that pertains to the white noise's step. So that's one way to use the 2 modes in tandem very effectively. You can even turn it off completely. Of course, you can use that voltage for other things too, like modulating the pitch of your modulations or your audio sources and things like that. That's pretty cool, right? Now you can do the same thing with modulation sources. So let's redo the patch here. So now we're going to get our audio from the ether oscillator sine wave again. Right, and the VCA is still triggering based on these steps right here. So we'll keep that going. And now what we'll do is we'll take the output to, actually no, let's open the VCA manually and take that CV and send it to FM, the ether oscillator. Right. Except we want output 1 because we want the multiplexer. So now let's put some voltage modulation sources in the wave inputs. There we go. That's pretty cool already. That's just step 1. Taking a triangle wave from the LFO2. Let's take an audio rate modulation to do like FM, audio rate FM. There we go. Alright, and now we can take the rampage, little adapter that I made from banana to mini plug, and take one of the outputs from the rampage, which is also cycling, so like an LFO. Put that on wave input 4. That's pretty cool right there. It's a modulation source sequencer, one of the uses for multiplexer. And there it is in B mode. And of course, we can modulate the frequency to make this more chaotic. Now, if we use a noise sample and hold, there we go. That's pretty crazy stuff right there. So we've seen it used as a audio source sequencer. We've seen it used as a modulation source sequencer. Now we can see it used as a VCO too. We just go to VCO mode, and now it's oscillating really fast. It's cycling through those modulation sources really fast. It's, there you go. So it's a crazy way to do some interesting FM type effects too. Basically create a wave where each segment of the wave is varying based on some other parameter. Yeah. Pretty cool. So that's it. The multiplexer in VCO mode, so audio range. It's definitely a very interesting FM effect. So I think that's it for what I wanted to show you with the Lizard 2. So stay tuned for the next videos. Give us some likes, subscribe to our channel please, and if you want to order Lizard 2, you can talk to me. There's more information in the video description. And the only way right now is to get it directly from Vinicius Brazil in Rio de Janeiro. But get in touch with me and I'll put you in contact. I hope you liked this video, and there'll be more coming soon. Thank you and have a good one.